we'll find out, and we'll find out what that map's going to be right now as we bring it up on your screen. As you can see, BD on defense, Immortals on attack, thanks to the excellent color coding of the orange and blue.
Yes.
And we'll be going to potentially Coastline or Clubhouse, it looks like it. It's going to be Club.
Okay. They're still keeping away from those quote-unquote DLC maps. You've seen, again, Villa once, Coastline, not at all. Latin America in general does not want to play that map. And it is in stark contrast to North America, even APAC and EU.
Yeah, Coastline is an interesting map. It's been ever shifting. I don't think we're ever going to see it slow down, or at least it's going to take a while. We've always talked about how in Pro League, usually the meta for certain maps will shift around, and once they become stale, they get rotated out, and that's just the nature of Pro League. And I think Coastline's got a long lifespan. Clubhouse, thanks to its rework, has a similarly long lifespan, so we should see some pretty interesting stuff here today. Let's see what you guys thought, or who you guys thought was going to be the victor with the community vote. And
Wow.
That is just about the closest one we've ever seen.
That is very, very close. I think there's one that was closer than this. I'm not sure. I'm not.
We can't say with authority.
Yeah, we're not.
But
really
this is
keeping
very
tabs
close
on the numbers. But yes, this is fairly close, and it does come down to the fact that Black Dragons has a huge social following.
Yeah, Black Dragons is definitely one of the more popular teams out there, especially in Latin America. So that does not surprise me that they've managed to accumulate that following. And they did beat FaZe, so that is worth noting.
Yeah.
But again, FaZe having a really poor season so far. Immortals there with the 46% makes sense to me that they have that because they have been having a much better season. Again, we touched on how they drew against Ints, and that was curious.
Yeah.
So going into this, BD looking good, Ints looking bad, but also overall Ints, or sorry, I just said Ints, didn't I? BD looking good, Immortals looking bad, but overall Immortals having a better season and Black Dragons having a bit of a mixed match season. So,
No.
I mean, this is really, we don't know how this is going to end up.
Here's one thing I want to add. The fact that Immortals tied yesterday against INTZ, I think there's an extra statistics that if we mention it, things kind of change a bit. On January 20th, so 4 days ago, in BR6, Immortals played INTZ, and they also tied on border in the exact same way. 4 rounds in defense for each team, 2 rounds in the attack. And, you know, they went around and played, guess what? Border last night. So a repeat is kind of expected. It is okay. So I'm not sure how much we can rely on the raw data of saying, well, you know, they tied INTZ, sure, but...
Yeah, I'm going into this with no expectations on who's going to win.
Yeah, basically.
I said it earlier, I can't predict who's going to win this match. I mean, conventional wisdom suggests Immortals, but
we've been wrong.
Maybe not. And yeah, with the recent history of both of these teams, who knows? Anything's possible. I mean, you know, another thing to note on Gaston, we haven't talked a whole lot about this, is that because of how many matches are played, and because it's you play one match and then you play another match the next
Literally
day.
the next day.
Yeah, so we saw LATAM yesterday. Because of that, you see a lot of different results than what you would expect, because you're going from you play and then you play again.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, that's all I'm trying to say is, like, sometimes that will upset the conventional and it give you an odd result.
Yeah, and this is the thing as well, like, the players, the teams, everybody basically can just know all the games ahead of time. All 14 play days, they're all prepared. You can sort of predict the maps for the upcoming 2-3 play days.
I mean, in theory, you could predict the maps for the entire season. You have all of your opponents for the entire season starting from
you can ban
the beginning.
You know, those 2 of those maps, so you can kind of prepare for things fairly efficiently, right? In this case, again, as you mentioned, it might be, you know, sometimes like a preparation, sometimes because there's a lot of games that you're playing, or not enough scrimming because you don't have enough time because you're playing so much. Many factors that go into it that skew the statistics at the end of it. And that's, I guess, the biggest downside of the Super Weeks, even though they're only, you know, 2 best-of-1s played back-to-back.
Super month.
Super year. Thank you very much.
We'll get there, Gaston. We're working towards the super year, but
we're actually not far away from that. If we hit June,
we're pretty far away from that. Would be that? I don't think that's ever going to happen. But super month, no, super month, and it's been a really action-packed one. It has given us some amazing matches for Siege, some record-breaking situations,
Oh, yes.
quite a lot of those. Some really interesting storylines, and
And viewership has picked up again. Everybody's hyped up. It's the new year. Everybody's super happy to watch the new stuff.
yeah. So we're just waiting on one more person to get in, and then we'll have everything ready to go, and we'll get right into the match. Just to let you guys know.
Once that's done, then we can get the show on the road. But again, Clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start off with, first things first. Operator bans. Maverick gets banned quite a bit on this map. Maestro happens to be as well.
Yeah, I would expect either a Maestro or an Echo, of course, possibly both. This goes without saying. Since it's Latin America, it's probably going to be the Echo, but we'll see. We're going to see the Maverick ban, probably. We're going to definitely see a Hard Destructor ban. Habana gets banned quite a lot on Clubhouse, and that's because she can open up the most drop-downs of all of the Hard Destructors. So probably going to be Habana maybe a Maverick as well. Montaigne would make sense. Glass would make sense. Your typicals.
Yep.
But they're going to see a Hard Destructor ban. We're going to see an Echo or a Maestro. And we'll find out when we actually get into the match.
Yeah, it just really depends on which Heart Breacher gets banned at the end, or it'll be two of them.
The Habana
super difficult.
Yeah, the Habana makes sense because you're going to get the most drop downs, so that's going to make defending the basement easier. The Maverick makes sense because he's going to be your main way of countering things like bandit tricking or mute jammers on a wall. Thatcher is useful in that regard, but he can be, again, bandit tricked against.
And in general, Latin America don't run that much Thatcher.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not that high of a. It's like a 16% pick rate.
Well, the Maverick makes sense to me
100%.
If you're going to try and make the two top sites more defendable. And Habana, if you want to make the basement more defendable. It really just depends on what you as a team want to make easier to defend. So we'll find out. I mean, when we get there, again, there's possibility for two Hard Destructors. Who knows? Thermite's the least likely to be banned, but he also could be banned. That will, similar to the Maverick ban, make defending the top floors easier.
Yeah, I wonder what's going to... As you mentioned, it really depends on which sites you're really going to be focusing on as the defender, and you're the one that's really going to dictate everything. You're starting on defense. You're the one that wants to put up as many rounds on the board before we switch around to the attack, because Clubhouse is notorious for being skewed towards the defense. So you want to make sure you capitalize on that preferred position first.
It seems as though we've lost all of a team, so we'll be trying to get them back. And then once we have them in here, then we can get underway. There's a very strong possibility that there's something going on in terms of maybe a storm or something.
I really hope not.
Based on what we saw earlier with the clean feed and what just happened here. I mean,
I will check the weather reports.
You check the weather reports. So Gaston is going to get on that. But something's going on, and we'll find out what it is. In the meantime, just as we wait for this match to get underway.
It's fantastically clear, 24 degrees Celsius. However, tomorrow is expected with few thunderstorms and rain showers over the general area of Sao Paulo, Brazil.
So nothing right now, but something's going on. We don't exactly know what. On the note of the map, though, so we're seeing Clubhouse being played. Both of these teams have played Clubhouse, and last time Black Dragons were here, it was a draw against Pain Gaming. Last time Immortals were here, it was, let me see here, a win for them against Red Devils. A 7-3 win, though, and against Red Devils, a team who has been struggling this season. That's not the best scoreline, but it is a win, and that's worth noting. So going into it, Immortals in a little bit of a better position in terms of their past experience with this map.
Definitely the case, and in that match against Red Devils, they were able to take 3 rounds in the attack, which is already pretty darn good. If you can get half the rounds of the first half on the board as an attacker, you're in a pretty okay spot for the second half, and that's exactly what happened for Immortals. As they won 3 attack, then lost 3 for 3 other rounds on the attack, and then went in and won 4 defensive rounds in a row, and didn't really have any problems with that. So, with Black Dragons starting off on the defense in this situation, the pressure's on Black Dragons definitely to put up as many of those rounds as possible before switching around to that attacking side, because we've seen the lack of experience, I want to say as well, with Black Dragons against Immortals, is that sometimes your attacks will stall out, and because you don't really always know how to react to your opponents, when you stall out, this is time for Immortals to dive out on you. And you mentioned this in the previous matchup. The metagame so far has shifted in a way where the attackers are trying to dictate the pace of the entire game.
The defenders?
The defenders.
Yeah.
Did I say attackers?
Yeah. No, but I know what you mean. Continue.
Yes, but yes, the defenders are trying to dictate the pace of the entire game. So runouts are definitely possible, and we've seen quite a few of those. Garage holds as well are very prominent on a map like Clubhouse. Possibly Rome on the top floor. We've seen even teams like Empire, like even EG running that sort of Rome, and it happens. You can pull it out around in the game, but it's not something definitely you're going to run out every single one of those rounds.
It's definitely very dangerous,
Yeah.
but it is a strategy that you can, in theory, use. Some teams, again, as you said, have managed to make it work. Though I will be honest, often when we see it successful, and by it I mean Rome on the top floor as a basement defense, it's because the teams that are competing against each other are a little bit askew in terms of talent. We have seen that many times before, where the top team in a region will play against one of the lesser teams in a region. It will, and then it will afford the top team a little bit more freedom. This is still a thing that will happen from time to time, as much as every one of our regions have become so much closer.
Oh man.
Let me just break it down for you. Back in the day, there used to be one or maybe two teams in each region that were actually even remotely competitive at a LAN, and we've since worked past that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lord Tachanka.
Yeah. I think DreamHacks have had a big effect on the scene, allowing a lot of these teams that usually will not get coverage and game time offline in Pro League finals to come together and fight against teams that are, bigger than them, more experienced than them. And we've seen even the clash of regions. I mean, we'll take you back to DreamHack Winter, Penta versus Space Station Gaming, an absolute banger of a game, which held on the line who qualified for Sixth Invitational, and I'm very glad that both teams go to the event.
Yeah, and if we're looking at just recent history too, I mean, the teams that are conventionally the superior ones are not always the ones to win out, as we've seen, example FaZe with 2 wins so far this season, 3 losses. One of those losses being a forfeit, but to Liquid of all teams, who is right now atop the leaderboard in Latin America.
Yeah.
Well, not right this second, actually. They have yet to play their match, though, so that's unfair for them. Anyway, starting the day, they were at the top of the leaderboard, and they've been having a really good season, so that could have been a loss for FaZe either way. Apart from that, I mean, they lost to NiP, and they lost to Black Dragons. They won against Pain and Red Devils, but the main takeaway, again, is that NiP is not where they would typically be atop the leaderboard in LATAM right now, which is a little bit of an upset, but at the same time, more, I think, just indicative of how close these regions are in terms of skill level, from the best team to the worst team, whatever that is in terms of rating for you. It's kind of subjective at this point.
I think the numbers have definitely shown that with every single season, we get closer and closer, and this season is very much the case. Not so much in Latin America compared to North America or EU. Especially EU. Oh, God, nowadays.
We've been seeing some close... across the board, it's really close. I mean, there's the objective way of measuring it when it comes to your round wins, your match wins, sure. But, again, with this Super Month, we've seen some really interesting results. And a big part of it, I think, does come down to the shotgun nature of the matches, where it's just go, 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 go. And it does not surprise me sometimes when we have an upset, because it's, it's all action all the time. And it can be hard sometimes for teams to prepare for that. I mean, even some of the teams that have the best situation, like they're living in gaming houses and they've got like all the people around them here ready to support them, and they're constantly planning, preparing for these matches. Even sometimes for them, I mean, it's going to be hard to prepare for your match when you're going into 2, one right after the other. So I get it to have some matches that are going to be different than what you would expect. It does make for some really exciting content, some really awesome matches that are different. And explosive is a good word, yeah. But it also makes the season a little bit different than the conventional wisdom would suggest. Though there's always some kind of factor in these seasons. You can point a finger at this season and be like, oh, this is why. And yeah, sure, okay, there's going to be a thing. But there's always something in each of these seasons to upset the conventional wisdom. And that's not terribly surprising. I mean, last season, what was his Lion? Lion really did upset the way that the meta was played.
He's thankfully out the window and into the trash can. So
well, he's in quarantine. He's in the he hit the pause button, not the stop button on Lion.
Yes.
It's important to remember. Once Ubisoft gets a rework on that, I'm sure he'll be back in.
You might say he's been put back into his cage.
The lion is in the cage. Yeah, that's a way you could put it, I suppose.
Rawr.
But yeah, I mean, every single season, without fail, we have some kind of elements, whether it's an operator or the way the season's being played out, that upsets the conventional wisdom.
However,
So,
what's the big deal in this season? The biggest change is that there's no change, practically. The mute, yeah, he gets the shotgun.
the lack of a lion.
SMT-11, lack of a lion.
It's pretty huge, actually. The lack of the lion has made us shift from an attacker-sided to a defender-sided meta.
Gives you an extra
overall.
ban to actually use.
It gives you an extra ban, yeah.
Otherwise, no operators, no new maps.
Here we go,
no
guys.
changes.
We got the match.
Woohoo!
We're going to be going into Clubhouse. But yeah, I mean... So, Clubhouse. Immortals, Black Dragons. Immortals starting on attack. Black Dragons on defense. BD will defend first, thus ban first, and we'll see who they decide to get rid of.
All right, Black Dragons starting off on the defense. They have the advantage here to remove an attacker they deem a bit too complicated for them to deal with. Will it be a shield? It would make sense. Maybe the Monty or the Glass. And, oh, the Maverick. We talked about the Hard Breach. It's not surprising at all that we see the Maverick first, but the big question now is, do Immortals remove a Hibana or a Thermite, possibly the Hibana, or will they go opt for a shield? And in this case, it's actually none of those. It's the Ying. So it's not. It won't be surprising to see both the Thermite and the Hibana being run together.
Yeah, so this is really weird. Ying, I get it. You know, she's a good operator, but I don't know. There's so many other options on a map like Clubhouse. And yeah, you're right. We'll probably see Hibana and Maverick together for most of these rounds. It's going to be Mira as well. Also a weird pick. I mean, Mira's good,
But
Clubhouse?
do you need her? No. Well,
No, I mean, no.
No,
You don't.
It's similar to Consulate. It's like, yeah, she has her power plays, but she's not that great of a...
She's really good here. Don't get us wrong, but
she's not great enough on this map to make it logical to use one of the bans on her. That's the thing. You can afford to use it on something else.
I would say overall Immortals bans are very interesting. Both very useful. You know, Ying and Mira, great to get rid of, especially, and honestly, if Immortals just doesn't want to play against either of them. And yeah, I'm with them on that. I wouldn't want to play against Ying either. I wouldn't want to play against Mira either. It makes sense. So, as much as they're interesting and different and they don't really adhere to the maps meta per se, fair enough, Immortals, fair enough. You get rid of what you don't want to play against. I'm with you there.
Yeah, it is the freedom that now teams can basically build things the way that they want and just not have to deal with certain things, which is what used to happen with Lion in the past, and it's understandable that this has shifted to other operators. The Pulse will be exchanged for a Maestro as we're heading for Cash here. The first defense of, or second matchup of the evening. And, you know, what other regions, for example, North America would do here is even when the Maestro is available, it would run a Doc. He can heal himself, has a bulletproof camera, and some teams, not all of them, and not per se myself, people will think that, you know, he might just be better for that Raptor position compared to the Maestro.
So the reason you would bring a Doc instead of the Maestro is partially because the healing. It's also, and this is a huge thing as much as it seems small, because of the giant backpack that Maestro has. It clips through the rafters, well, not the catwalk. It clips through the catwalk and it allows people to see you underneath. So if they're coming in from Garage and you're playing Maestro and you're prone and your back is down, then it will allow your opponents to see your location. That's really dangerous. The one thing, though, that Maestro does do for your team that Doc does not is provide those Evil Eyes, which are so very powerful. And I have been an open critic of teams that decide to bring a Doc instead of a Maestro on this site. In my opinion, the solution is not to bring Doc instead of Maestro. The solution is to bring Maestro and have somebody else play inside of Garage, so you don't have to worry about the backpack.
Yeah, a lot of times it's a Legion that'll play that position, or maybe a Jaeger. In this case, it looks like GDN on the smoke will actually be filling that role. Cyber, in the meantime, continuing to drone. Seeing the Ash has taken control of the lounge, and just wasting no time here, Immortals, trying to take as much map control as humanly possible before they walk in. You see Iblack's Maestro taking a decent chunk of damage early on, even the Maestro falling back and playing by the stairs.
And it looks like, as you said, going to be GDN inside that Garage. The smoke is an option, I suppose, to hold on to Garage. Very dangerous, though, extending some very useful utility. Bullet from below already into Lounge, and he's already done a lot of work, as you could see, opening the wall from Lounge to Garage, and the floor just above him into Server is going to force the defenders into a little bit of a tricky hold here. They've got 2 inside of Garage and a rotation. It has been cut off thanks to Immortal's efficient play at opening the Server wall. Important to note that Immortals have thus far been uncontested, and when the contention will actually start, it's going to be Panico to die to Navi. So not a great round so far from BD, gotta say.
Yeah, good start for the Immortals, and to say that, Ion, wow, that's a nice skill there to find the Ash in the back on the rappel. GDN still solo up in the catwalk, and definitely can use his smoke canisters on one side or the other. Well, not no more, because Bullet comes in and takes him out. Advantage for Immortals, still having a lot of utility left on their side as Black Dragons lose 2 huge ops in the smoke and Legion.
Ion looking for his second kill, and he's the only one to get one so far for his team. Playing that long angle from Cash onto the balcony. iBlack's also doing the challenge, but he's going to lose out to M-King, and an excellent crossfire from Immortals will put them up in a 4-2 advantage. Ion now knows he needs to get aggressive to try and even things out, but he's unable to really find anything just yet. Immortals are playing too safe. Bullet has been down, looks like from a goo trap, as he ate some bullets earlier, and finally the trap will put him on the floor. But luckily he can be picked up and will be picked up, as BD are not aware of this. Hugzord playing proximity on that balcony. Very dangerous position, and he'll be smoked off. Immortals a tactical push here using the utility that they have at their hand. But a double C4 from Ion and a huge blunder from Immortals. With only 6 seconds left, they're gonna have to rush into the site. Ion now the only one left alive, and he's gonna have to ace it, but he's coming so close! No! He won't get it. The Black Dragons win it though regardless, because time is a factor and Immortals didn't manage it very well.
That was all Immortals.
And they still lost it.
And they stacked up on their push from Garage into the Server, and that was a beautiful C4. Masterfully done by the Bandit to clean up the round, and you know what, goes in for 1 extra, could have gotten the second, doesn't matter. All that matters is the fact that you disrupted the plant at 0-0. Your focus is solely on setting that diffuser on the floor, and it's absolutely well played. A round that, again, Immortals had in the bag, turns the way of Black Dragons, and this is starting to, even from the first round, to give a few flashbacks into what happened last night in the Immortals match.
So if I'm not mistaken, that was a 4K from Ion, believe it was. And
yeah, he killed the Ash, and then he got a double kill with the C4, and then he went for an extra one behind the screen. So,
and he very nearly got the ace. I'm gonna go ahead and,
it's an ace.
On my authority, I will give him the technical ace, because he would have gotten that kill if not for the timer. Technically, well, it was at 4K, but
because he
to
won
be
the
fair
round,
to him,
he gets that extra point. He gets an ace.
in a way.
Yeah.
So, well done to Ion specifically, not Black Dragons as a whole, because the rest of his team had a pretty poor round overall. And definitely a round that Immortals should have won for many reasons. While it was poor time management from Immortals, they also were really good in terms of the tactical play, in that they were able to open up the server wall. They got control of everything they wanted, including Garage, pretty quickly into the round, and got a lot of picks really early on. So it really should have been the round.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. It was all in Immortals' hand. But that aside, this is something that Immortals will also have to shake off of them. Is, you know what? They go into a new round. New round, new me, kind of thing that they talk about usually on New Year's. Well, here they're gonna have to do it every single round. We'll see how Immortals change things up for this one, as they'll have to attack down onto Church. See C4 Nitrocell in the hands of the Bandit is Hugzord and Maestro. Wow, that's a pretty aggressive position to be in, at least trying to utilize the ACOG as best as possible. And Immortals, nothing too surprising. They bring both Heart Breachers, the Habana and the Thermite.
Skeleton Keat putting in good work here from Bullet, opening up plenty of angles to use later on in the round, and forcing these defenders to relocate out of Arsenal or Armory. Ixcaros will open up that drop down, so the C4 trick / impact trick that was set up from the defense, unsuccessful. And that's all thanks to the skeleton key, forcing Ion into a different position. You can see he was waiting to use that C4 and throw it up, but it just couldn't happen. He'll set up on the C4 from Church instead. So there's definitely good potential to still use that utility. And Black Dragons, despite losing the hatch in Arsenal, despite losing control of Arsenal, thanks to the skeleton key, are still very much in this.
Yeah, but now Xord is setting himself up already. There's a minute 5 on the clock, so a ton for Immortals to use. But so far, there's not even any bit of damage done. The entire kitchen has been blown to smithereens, and no advantage found. Now there's a Maestro camera at the other end of the hallway. Will get taken down by the Ash. ADS is burning off potential flashbangs that have been thrown, I believe, from Novies. Will take a bit of damage, and oof, nicely done there. Was that a well-cooked grenade from Wood?
Yeah, it was from the kitchen, a pretty typical angle.
And he did down the Maestro, and PX will find a kill on Panico. It's a good start for Immortals, as even more damage is being done to Huxor. The Maestro picked up at the end. Blacks being taken out by a bullet grenade to get bounced in the back, and it's only a smoke one. Ion will find the kill on Bullet, and Cyber will dive right into the smoke, but no, how does Novies do it? GDN able to shut down Cyber through the smoke as he had the shotgun watching that hatch, and he'll get one more kill on Novies. It's a 2 versus 2. Diffuser is not set yet. 2 seconds on the clock, and the Thermite turns around. What are you doing pushing the armory? And GDN will win the round again. Black Dragons off of time, and again, mistakes from Immortals. Your Thermite is carrying the Diffuser, and what does he do? He runs to get a fight by the green box and armory instead of going all the way back the armory.
Yeah, that was a solid throw from the Thermite. Solid throw. 10 out of 10. He really just needed to try and plant the Diffuser. I mean, I'm going to say it. I don't think that they would have won. I don't think Immortals would have taken it, even if he had tried to go for a plant.
But there's definitely a better thing.
It is, yeah, it's beside the point, really. The correct decision there from Immortals was to attempt for a plant, and it didn't happen. So, big whoops there. Mistakes are made, though, and Immortals can still recover, but Black Dragons currently looking pretty good, honestly.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being
well, at
defused by
least
attackers.
this is all proving that Black Dragons, even whilst not being the top on the leaderboard, is still able to react to a team like Immortals and find where Immortals are messing up. And they are messing up a lot. It's not just Black Dragons doing the good work. It's definitely a combination of the two.
Yeah, it's definitely some bad play from Immortals, that's for sure. And Black Dragons are not making... You know what I'll say? Well, Black Dragons have been pretty poor at keeping control. Their tactics have been a little bit lackluster. Overall, they haven't been playing amazingly well. They aren't making any egregious mistakes. If you really look at the way BD are playing, the reason they're winning these rounds is because they're just not messing up nearly as much as Immortals are. And hey, you know, a win's a win in terms of a round. So what the heck, man? However you're going to take it, take it. Good job to BD for playing, I guess, their game and making it work.
All right. Well, this is a top floor defense in the bedroom, and GDN's playing downstairs, the western hallway, and he'll try to play inside of the strip club. And this is not a position that is used all too often anymore, but you can use it to shut down your opponents if they want to move through from your flank and go up the stairs. And the castle makes sense as an operator in this situation, just because after the barricades are set up, you don't really do a ton outside of that. So you are an expendable operator for the rest of the squad compared to, let's say, a Maestro or even a Mutant Smoke.
It's a lot of playmate potential as a castle because you have those impact grenades. You can run out on somebody if they're rappelling on Jacuzzi balcony, for example, from the strip club wall. There's options available to you. But I think GDN is just trying to be a thorn in the side of Immortals as they attempt to push their way into the top floor. And he's definitely going to be in a good position to do just that. Still going here. Still from Immortals. They've lost 2 rounds to time, so they have to really start, you know, being a little bit more attentive. Navi's is going to be the first one to die here, and the hands of, I believe it was iBlacks, to get him by the main stairs, possibly, or out on that balcony on the south side. C4 from Ion, trying to get something there, but I think he actually may have taken out his own teammate's Evil Eye as well. So I'm curious because they had an Evil Eye in server, which means they would have had information on server. So why did he waste that C4?
I don't know.
And I think he got the Evil Eye too. There's no way for us to know, but I'm pretty sure he did.
There was no audio. No audio cue, no nothing. I maybe expected the Buck to come in, but like...
Oh, he's coming in now. Here he comes. Bullet working his way into server, and he's looking to challenge Ion now with a slight advantage of wasted utility, but it's not going to matter that much. The backpack of Maestro, of course, not part of the hitbox, and Bullet aware of his location, but not able to land those shots.
Yeah, you still saw that Mute in the back. Panico turns around, and Cyber just drops the hatch, and guess what? The Havana is as well in the logistics off and has, well, the last player at this point, M-King, right behind her. He's going to get shot down by Panico. And all mistakes. BX will find 1 kill, but is it enough to redeem the round? 17 seconds on the clock, and guess what? He's stuck in the office. And yeah, logistics basically dictate the fact that you might need some reinforcements here, but there are none to be found as the Dragons demolish the Immortals. And it's a bit of a boxy situation.
That was a really poorly played round from Immortals. Of course, also some mistakes being made from BD, but clearly not as many. Immortals, I mean, they didn't really feel like they were even in that round at any point.
No.
Did you notice them? Like, they almost didn't exist. I mean, we saw Navi's get picked off on the balcony. From that, they were trying to push into server, but nothing came of that. They at no point got control of cash or construction, which is curious. And the whole strategy seemed to be from Immortals to rush into office, which is a death trap. I don't know what Immortals was trying to accomplish there, and I find myself just a little bewildered. We'll be going to cash, which was the first defense from BD, who are on a streak right now, 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Absolutely ruthless.
Yeah, absolutely ruthless, and I think Immortals are being ruthless to themselves, to be honest.
Yeah, Immortals are playing poorly.
Yeah.
Really poorly today. Again, you know, maybe this just isn't the Immortals that we should expect to see. This is day 2 in a row for Immortals, possibly.
I mean, they already tied yesterday versus IMT.
Right.
So it
True.
doesn't really bode well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You as Immortals, you're not supposed to be drawing. You know, second place last season, man.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be drawing against Ints. You're not supposed to give Ints their very first point in the season of any. If any team, it's not supposed to be you. And it's definitely been a struggle here for Immortals so far. Really off their game today. They can recover it though. There's definitely potential. Again, we're in that defender meta. This is a defensive-sided map. It's always been a defensive-sided map. So maybe on that half switch, we'll see a little bit of a different thing.
One thing I do want to add is that Immortals in BR6, for example, are 0-3-3, which means they only have 3 points.
Zero wins?
Yeah, they're at 7th place, with Freeze, Liquid, and NIP are on top, with INTZ right behind them in that 4th spot. So it seems like things don't always translate perfectly between Pro League and BR6, but at least in this match, we're kind of seeing a lot of the faults that Immortals are doing, and maybe this won't be the case once they switch around to the defense, but they have to put something on the board, and at least this delays the bandit enough for him to fall back, and the wall will get shut down by the thermal.
Smoke spotted out there inside a garage, and that's a dangerous position to be playing with the Buck on the other side of this wall in lounge. GDN, though, has his own shotgun, and it's much better at tearing down players, less so walls. He will be trying to challenge the Buck, but as you can see, not going to win on the first engagement. The shotgun not doing him any favors there through the drone hole. Does some damage to Bullet, and will finally down him and finish him off. Well played, GDN. And Black Dragons already starting this round off with a bang. I say starting this round off. We're into the last third of the round.
What?
Oh no, the Ash charge!
How did you...
It landed on the other side of the server. He placed it to the left, so the explosion was absorbed by the world and did not land on the Evil Eye. Ion will also take out M-King, so Black Dragons in the driver's seat.
Perfect position, and another one, Ion! Oh man, tearing Novi's to shreds. GDN might be down, but will it be enough? Smoke grenade still available for Cyber here, but the diffuser is on, well, the balcony on its own. There's nobody to pick it up here for Immortals. Cyber will have to come up the stairs and fight. In the meantime, PX joining in for his teammate. They're gonna have a hard time to walk up through this when there's potentially a Maestro to stop him, and I'm not sure why BD have not picked up GDN just yet. I'm not sure exactly where he is, actually.
He's inside the garage at the bottom, so he's dangerous, and there's no reason for BD to extend themselves.
Very true. They're not really going to go for that. Diffuser is still on the outside as the flash will come in. Disrupt Ion for just a bit, but he's going to hear the drop on the side of the balcony, and Goo Mines from Panico will make things even more difficult for the Habana of PX. Ion taking damage from the side, and PX will take him out, but little time is left on the clock. And see the Bearing 9 has already been pulled out by the Habana. Sniper will find one kill as he spots the second. He takes him out. 2v2, but there's two on the side, and Panico shutting down PX. Is the round again is one off of time. My God, Black Dragons. They're 4-0 up against Immortals, and even if Immortals try to go for those last second kills, the Hail Mary play, it's just nowhere near enough. Yeah, I know. Take a breather.
It's just a weird match, Gaston. I mean, Immortals are playing abnormally poorly. Black Dragons are not playing especially well, but they are getting these round wins. Why? Because they're making less mistakes. These attacks from Immortals have every single one of them. There's 4 in a row. Immortals have lost due to time.
Honestly, if it were me, I would give Immortals -4 rounds and Black Dragons.
Protect your bombs from being defused by
That's the way that you should
If
be completely fair in the round.
I don't know. To be fair to BD, they are earning it by not, overextending themselves, not taking unnecessary risks. I like that they didn't try to pick up GDN, for example, in that last round. In a 4 versus 2 situation, why would you try to make it a 5v2?
The fact that GDN already got the kill on the Buck in that position is a bit of an oddity. I mean, yeah, sure, you got shot the first time through that drone hole. Just fall back. You're not going to win against the shotgun. If you go back to last week,
10 seconds.
the entirety of the highlights of last week is literally just shotguns.
You know what really surprises me, Gaston?
What? What?
Bullet droned out GDN inside a garage at the early stages of the round. And what does the Buck have that's great at taking engagements indirectly?
Is it something that he can throw?
It's a frag grenade. He has frag grenades.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yep.
I'm no mathematician there, math magician,
No,
but
I mean, you throw a grenade through the drone hole. You cook it a little bit, and oh look, the smoke is gone. And it's almost like Bullet forgot that he had those.
his name is Bullet. It's not Grenade.
Come on, man. Well, I'm trying to highlight a mistake here.
You're not Freya Parker, okay? I've been signed on to this day. I have to commit.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, it seems like Immortals are forgetting a lot of the utility that they have in hand. Their attack coordination has been really poor. I mean, here we go. Bullet's making use of his skeleton key. He did this last time Immortals tried to attack the basement, though. And it did not work out. And once more, Immortals fell victim to time, and Black Dragons simply waiting them out. So something is going to have to change here on Immortals if they want to salvage a few rounds in the first half. But again, it is important to remember, once we go to that second half, it's entirely possible that Immortals will have much more luck.
Yeah, that's exactly what was happening really yesterday and in BR6 on Sunday. Just 4 rounds on the defense every single time. It seems like Immortals are fairly comfortable with that. And yeah, there you go. That's how you deal with it. You can just impact it by the side. Unfortunately, there were just enough X-Kairos pellets used on the left on that hatch to blow it up. Cyber, in the meantime, still on the glass here. Is going to set himself up. The hatch has not been opened yet, but that's going to be an easy deal for the Habana.
Okay, Immortals, just past the halfway mark here. This is where things need to start speeding up as compared to the previous rounds. Now he's going to be using his flashes to try and clear out those ADSs, and he will do that. Ash charge out. He's going to get the Evil Eye. Good utility use here from Navi's. Really props to him for that. You can see the Black Dragons are playing far back in Arsenal, expecting an Arsenal take, but it's actually not going to be an Arsenal take. It's going to be a Moto take, as that's where Immortals have set themselves up, using that glass right now. Bandit tricking, though, going on here for Hugzord, and he's doing an excellent job of disrupting this push thus far. Immortals are starting a lot faster, but it's not working out all that well. Back and forth so far, PX on the floor, but he will be picked up. Hugzord still in a perfect position to hold this, and he's already managed to get 1 kill for himself. Ion's low on HP, but he's still in play, and that's the important thing. Inside of Arsenal, though, it's a complete switcheroo here from Immortals. An excellent fake out, and they have planted in Arsenal while Black Dragons were distracted with the Moto take. Navi's is going to get another one for himself, and PX will shut down GDN. It's just up to Panico in a 1 versus 4, and he will be finally shut down. What a take from Immortals.
That was the Immortals that you were expecting. They go in for the fake, and because they have the experience, are able to find the correct position to rotate around and then drop the hatch from kitchen whilst all of Black Dragons are distracted with Moto. And it was peculiar, the fact that the Jaeger was able to push up in the blue stairs and try to fight somebody in the lounge, but still, it's all part of the plan. Immortals just there, delaying Black Dragons, and they got the diffuser. They instantly went to the back of Armory and planted it. Overall, that's exactly how we should be doing it. Now, unfortunately for Immortals, it's their final round on this attacking side, and guess what? They're going to have to attack Church again, and they're going to run a similar lineup, having the Thatcher on board this time around for PX. So, big change, only one Heart Breacher.
Yeah, so that one Heart Breacher going to be a huge thing to keep an eye on for Immortals, but I mean, it does limit them in terms of their strategy. They aren't going to be able to attack from nearly as many places. I mean, in that last round, we saw the whole Hard Breach utility being used fully. You saw even the Thermite being used to try and fake out the Bandit by Church. Yep. And it was successful in flaking out for Black Dragons. So, Immortals, in that last round, I really want to highlight also, I want to touch on the fake out play, because I personally didn't even notice it.
Yeah,
obviously we didn't.
And they're like, whoa, this is pretty sweet.
It's almost as if they teleported over to Kitchen and then dropped into Arsenal and were planting the diffuser. So that's the hallmark of a successful attack strategy, when your enemy really cannot predict it. And that's really an earned round there for Immortals, and it doesn't make up for how poorly they've been playing the previous rounds, but it certainly does prove that they've got the chops, and if they show it to us a little bit more, I mean, maybe we'll see them take at least one more round on this first half.
And it is again the final round on this half, so they're gonna have to really put those numbers up on the board, lest Black Dragons get that extra one.
Yeah, I mean, ending any half 5-1, no matter who you are, is bad.
Yeah, very, very true. No matter the map as well, but
yeah.
Still. We'll move on up, and this time he's got PX to drone in front of him, so this way he can be sure that there's nobody looking to peek him aggressively from the opposite end. Hugs are on the yellow, and I can see the change here to have the Guzmots in play, but what will M King do? He's going to go for a charge on the tunnel. All right, GDN will rotate around, and there's no Mute Jammers to stop this. Again, there's no Bandit, there's no Mute for Black Dragons, and there's no way for them to stop the Heart Breach, and there's only one Breacher in this situation.
So because the Thermite decided to open up Tunnel, that's going to commit Immortals basically to an Arsenal take, and is now going to make it obvious what they're trying to do. I suppose Immortals could open up Church still, but it would have been a bit of a waste. And also, they aren't going to be able to open the Moto drop, which means it would make this attack, if Immortals decide to attack Church Wall, it's going to be very, very difficult because of the lack of Moto drop being opened up. Second Thermite charge will go off. We have no idea where it is, but we'll find out once the round actually gets into the action phase, as we're coming out to the last minute.
Yeah, and this is, of course, the biggest question of, was it really worth it to not bring the Habana?
I think they just opened up the Moto drop. So they've opened the tunnel and the Moto drop. That means they can't open Church Wall, which means they're going to be relying exclusively on the Moto push, which is heavy.
They opened the bar drop?
Yeah, the Moto drop, which is heavy on this heavy reliance on Cybera using that glass to get this entry.
Okay, well, he's going to peek on in and I guess try to see what's going on the opposite end. Bit of an error in production, the Russian equipment here, but Ash will take a bit of damage as Cyber moves on in, and he fires to the back as M King will find one more. 5v3, and only a bit of damage done to the Immortals as Ion takes a ton here. The Meister playing in the back with the bar, an instant plant as iBlacks will find one. M King with a quick refrag. The player in the back that gets tagged with the goo mine, but look at the position right on the boxes, and they spot the leg, but Novi's is ready, and Ion goes down. Immortals wasting no time, but just using the smoke to their advantage, putting the diffuser down and really hitting Black Dragons where it hurts. Literally in the plant.
I gotta say, that strategy from Immortals was pretty bad. Like, if we're talking about it strategically, that was a really bad play. They opened up the tunnel with the thermite, and then they opened up the moto drop down. Those are the only two things they could open up. They were trying to fake out Black Dragons, and somehow it worked. So the story isn't, in my opinion, the story isn't Immortals having a good attack strategy. The story is Black Dragons not really reading the attack correctly. You cannot rely exclusively on a glass and a push through moto. It's that would be a fickle strategy if I've ever seen one, and it worked out this time for Immortals, which is good for them. But wow, that was a risk and a half. Black Dragons, though, yeah, definitely an oversight there, and one of their first really major mistakes being made in this match. They will be going to attack now as we transition into the second half, and it's going to be the basement defense first thing for Immortals. This is where Immortals very easily could start racking up points, and we could see this go to a 7-4 even.
Yeah, and you know what? This is exactly what happened the past week. Basically, in the two matches that Immortals had, 4 rounds lost when they were on the attack, and then they rack up the next 4 on the defense, and it ends up in a tie. Will they be able to salvage all of this and put that extra round, the extra 3 points on the board, or will it not be the case? Because, you know, if they win here, they tie up NIP for first place, so they really want to have this one. However, Black Dragons, biggest change for them is that they're bringing the Capitao. Now they have 4 smokes to run on their side. Of course, the combo being with the Jackal, having 2 of his. And other than that, it's the 2 Hard Breachers, the Havana, and the Thermite. So plenty of choice, and just, hey, you know, we messed up here. There were impact plays here and there. No problem. We still have so much utility.
Yeah, I mean, they've got 2 sets of smokes, but they also haven't brought the glass, which Immortals was making use of. So the smokes are going to be good, but they're not going to be as powerful as we saw in the last half.
Yeah, they don't combo with an operator directly, but what they do is basically block the line of sight. And, you know, with 4, you can very quickly and very easily block off quite a bit line of sight for defenders, keep them in the back of Church or Armory and go for a quick plant, similar to what Immortals did. But again, that's only theoretically, and we've seen more often than not, especially in this game.
Yeah.
Theory on its own doesn't really function.
And in a map like Clubhouse, a lot of the places you're going to be using those smokes can be easily countered by things like C4 or gas canisters. I mean, if you think about it, just logically, the defense has a lot more ways to counter a smoke grenade than the attack has ways to use a smoke grenade. I mean, yeah, it's going to cover your ingress, but if you have a glass, it could be very useful as well in that you could, ooh, this is very dangerous. Bullet playing with fire, and he will get burned on the floor. He will be picked up, though, as no one from Black Dragons trying to secure the kill. GDN also eating a little bit of damage, and it's just a nice, even exchange. It's likely GDM will get reset. And yes, indeed, there it is.
Yeah, at least he'll be back on half health, so again, it's a pretty good equilibrium. Black Dragons opening up the hatches, and Ion is going to use this time to open up any soft walls. Now, this is the wall into the Armory, which is left soft, so you got to be careful here if you're Immortals, because a rush to the side is definitely something you'll have to watch out for. And, well, yes, Black Dragons don't have an Ash, but they can definitely shut you down with those Capitao crossbow bolts, especially the fact that the kitchen hatch was open. It is a luxury that Black Dragons are trying to utilize as best as possible, having all that hard breach potential. In the meantime, still, they set up by the kitchen. We'll see drones come in to scout out how things are currently in the Armory. Cyber downstairs to find an angle on the buck. He'll do some damage, but not enough to finish off Ion. 10 seconds on the clock, and no push yet, but Hugsword will find one. M-King capitalizing on GDN. The shotgun into the face of Panico, and oh, wow, nicely done by Bullet. He'll find one. Iblacks, the C7E. Not enough, though, to hold off the tide of Immortals and the rising tide. That's the extra round on the board for the Immortals, taking their first round of defense. However, this will force them off of Church, and will they go for cash? Yes, they will.
So 4 in a row for BD, now 3 in a row for Immortals, 1 away from nice and even. We were seeing some pretty lackluster play from Immortals in the beginning of this match, but they have since bounced back. I have to say, those last 2 attack rounds, while the second one was questionable, the first one was a work of magic, and now going on to defense, as we discussed, Immortals are starting to rack up those rounds. Of course, it's only 1 defensive round down, but you gotta say that was pretty dominant looking for IMT. So, Black Dragons are now the ones
Attackers need to locate
in the fire,
as many bombs as
trying
they
their
can.
best to get as many rounds as they can on the attacking side. Based on how this has been playing out, though, I don't see it happening. I really don't see Black Dragons getting too much here.
No. Now, the Monty is obviously the interesting change. You know, you can walk up the Monty through Garage. It definitely does protect you on that ingress. But again, how will the Zofia factor into this? Usually the Zofia is playing close to the Monty just to stun people in the back and not allow Immortals to fight against him.
10 seconds to
You
go.
have to worry about the goo mines. At least you don't have to worry about the Echo, which is banned in this case by Black Dragons
seconds
themselves. But Immortals are running the mute.
Attackers recover
You still have a buck. You have a lot of work to do as the attackers, but just destroying the floor from the bottom. Is there somebody that's going to fight? Will Cyber, stick to the catwalk alongside the Maestro, or is he going to be more of an active role, where he's going to roam around the lounge and the blue stairs? We've seen so many Jaegers even setting up all the way downstairs.
I expect the attack strategy here from BD to be take into Garage, and that is evident thanks to the exothermic charge and the Montaigne pick in general, which would be what pretty much his main role when attacking this floor. You can use him to take control of construction as well, but it's less common. Once they have control of Garage, ooh, that's a huge misplay there from Panico. The EMP just not hitting its mark there. As you can see, he was trying to, looks like potentially disable some Evil Eye for a little bit, or maybe just take out any utility that might be on the balcony. Either way, wasted EMP, unfortunate.
Yeah, and even the drone there being taken out. GDN will set up his exothermic charge. As Hugzord just hugging the shield, he'll take a bit of damage from the Legion, and will just fall back. The goo mines obviously forcing him to take it out, or else he cannot function in the way that he'd like to. There's a lot of pressure being put up on the Monty.
Yeah, this is a dangerous play here from Hugzord. I was going to say once BD get control of Garage, then they can attack a disturber wall, but they've already got that open and they're still struggling with Garage, so this is a little bit backwards for them in terms of order. Hugzord working his way up to his enemy, and
It's a party in the catwalk here.
yeah, it's a really interesting situation here for Hugzord, but he just hit a goo mine.
Oh no!
That's huge. Ion's also going to take down Cybera, so this is a nice even exchange. But the melee from Hugzord! And Black Dragons get another one from iBlacks. Immortals now in a 2 versus 5. It's all falling apart as Navi's also goes down to Panico. Inside of construction, it's just PX and him against the world. It definitely looks like the world is going to be triumphant. He lays down the gas canister, though, to delay both construction and Garage. He does not have one, it seems, for the balcony. He still has it in hand, but he's not going to use it. He's going to wait for Hugzord, actually, and bait him into a gas canister. Montaigne on the floor, and that's making it a little bit easier for PX. He's going to do some excellent angle play thanks to the information from the Evil Eye, but it's not going to be enough as iBlacks, all the way in Garage, will shut him down through that lounge wall.
There is no way that Monty should have been allowed to do what he did.
Yeah, I think there's a couple different things that were...
Well, the Maestro and the Jaeger looked at the Monty for quite a bit, and at some point just started playing around, and... Oh, this is where...
I mean, it's Montaigne, man. He hit the... it's
true.
It's hard to deal with.
Yeah.
I can't blame Immortals
But the Maestro
necessarily.
just stood up to the fire from the entrance.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still a little bit puzzled how that managed working out so strongly in BD's favor, but I have to say, it's also partially Immortals' fault. It's partially Black Dragons playing pretty well. I mean, after the fact that Montaigne stayed alive in Garage was a huge thing for BD, in my opinion. Not that he got the kill per se, but the fact that he even persisted is huge. Of course, because he had the goo mine in his foot, he was required to get the kill in order to persist. But he was such a huge distraction, which allowed him, the rest of BD, to get kills elsewhere. And the rest of the anchors and roamers were just getting shut down one after another. And I think that's the real highlight because, yeah, a little bit of tunnel vision there from Immortals.
This actually might really hurt the chances of Immortals taking this game.
It's true, yeah. That's That's a really bad loss
10
there.
seconds left before insertion.
Yeah, well, we'll see if Black Dragons put themselves on match point. That'll guarantee them 1 point on the board at the end of the playdate. You already see Immortals setting up everything here, shock wires on the garage to prevent, at least as much as possible, what had happened in the previous round with the ingress via the garage entrance here, just by having the thermite. But looky here what Black Dragons have. Got a thermite and a Thatcher. Fairly easy to dispatch this wall with no effort.
Yeah, so it's just gonna be one EMP somewhere where it normally wouldn't be. That's not a huge deal. And you can see GDN has that advanced gadget deployment. That's why he put those bullets in there. But no one tricking this wall, so easy open, and I'm sure that is something that Black Dragons will make use of moving forward as they did in the previous round. That shield there from Immortals is going to be huge, though. Cybera, as you can see, going to be the main player inside a garage, and the goo traps are the main counter for the Montaigne. So it's good to see the Immortals make this rotation.
Yeah, what I like is the player behind the Monty is maneuvering all the way around, closer to the kennels, before, you know, opening any fire down into the garage. Because the angle that is afforded to players in the catwalk is actually massive, and you're not always really sure of it. And I love this change. What do Immortals do to deal with the Monty? Well, they put a shield in front of them, and that's definitely not something that Montaigne is equipped to even deal with.
King and Cybera persisting in that garage. Hugzord struggling. He's gonna need some damage here. Luckily for him, he has not hit a goo mine yet. The EMPs have been used to assist him in dealing with those goo mines. That's been a huge boon. GDN waiting patiently, but he knows he cannot challenge Navi's because Panico is dead. No EMPs in play, just dying to Cybera. I believe he also used all his EMPs earlier, though. So all in all, the utility's just not there. Navi's doesn't know this, though, clearly, and he is being patient and tricking as much as possible, trying to keep one of these batteries still in hand. A poor angle there from Navi's could potentially throw the round, as Thermite now able to open up the server wall, and it's looking much better for BD.
The Maestro up top, not spotted yet by Ion, but what does he have? A frag grenade, the perfect thing to deal with. The Legion drops right onto him, and Cyber will finish things off here. Hugzord down on the floor and almost taken out here in the Monty, but iBlacks should be able to save him. Oh man, he's got right at the angle of Cyber. He'll find him 2v2 as the Monty's eliminated. The Maestro of M-King on his own. Are there any smoke canisters left for PX to throw in? There's still an impact grenade here to be used by the Zofia. One stun grenade thrown into the back. The eastern stairs, the second one that'll completely blind PX. M-King setting up for the angle, and it's all for him. The shotgun revolver in hand. Diffuser picked up, but he can't do enough damage to iBlacks. He's still somehow alive, and M-King will clutch the round. One down, and the second rushes right on in. What do you see when there's a revolver shotgun in front of you with an Alda with a bunch of bullets inside it? Well, you just rush into it because there's no time, because you mistimed a lot of things.
That round was a freaking mess, man. Like, that round was just, wow. So many things. I mean, there were a lot of good plays. There were a lot of mistakes. It was all over the place, but it was just, yeah, it was a mess.
Let's break it down. You know, let's start off with the beginning. Garage was opened, right? Allowed the Monty to walk in. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay, yeah, sure. You got the Montaigne in, but then you also failed to use the Zofia to break the shield. In fact, all of those Zofia charges were just kind of thrown into garage to try and deal with the Maestro. But there's a shield in front of your Montaigne. Save one, get the shield, allow the Montaigne to push into the Legion. Following that, I mean, they got the server wall open, but they didn't really accomplish anything with it. The smoke grenades from Navi's were very well placed to deny that overall. The Legion traps didn't accomplish anything, but at the same time, Immortal still managed to delay a whole lot inside of the garage, and the Legion himself made an excellent play. As soon as he heard the grenade pull out, he went for the rush, and he managed to get the kill. That's the right call there from Bullet, so good job to him, I suppose. Overall, though, I mean, in the end, Black Dragons still managed to put themselves in a decent position by just fragging out. On top of that, I mean, we saw some pretty bad play. I mean, who was it that ended up as the bandit getting themselves picked off? Whoever it was.
I'm not sure, actually.
Whoever it was a pretty bad blunder and a huge mistake that could have. I believe it was Navi's. I'm pretty sure it was Navi's. I'm like 9 out of 10 on that one. Anyway, Navi's throwing his life away was a huge blunder, as it actually allowed for the server wall to be opened up. If he hadn't done that, it would have been a lockout from Immortals. There was, for both teams, so many opportunities missed, and it just came down to just raw slugging. And that is what made that round a mess. I don't know, just there were almost no tactics being used. And yet they were setting themselves up to use tactics and meta, but they just didn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't call this an endless wet dream.
No, definitely not. But here we go, attack onto the basement once more.
All right, well, what's Black Dragon's game plan? Well, they're gonna bring the Habana and the Thermite together. So it makes a lot of sense, a lot of hatches, a lot of walls, everything with some more redundancy as well on the operators. Makes sense. They also bring only one set of smokes, so only Ion here on the glass. So this might look like, all right, let's do the same thing Mortals did to us. We'll just plant right at the doorway entrance to the church from Moto. So it definitely can work, and it has in the past. But those EMPs have already been thrown up. I don't know if Pinnacle still has any of them, because those goo mines might really shut down Ion. And this is something we used to see Necrox do quite a bit in EG, just pushing in from the oil pit into blue. But here you have to have some sort of support from the blue stairs, and you can't really always afford to go solo.
Well, Ion's trying to commit to that solo push from the garage, and he's got a lot of information from his teammates, and he'll know where the Maestro is. Cybero's going to know where Panico is, and will take him down. So Thatcher early taken out. Hugzord on the main stairs doing his best, but Navi's is going to eliminate him, and Immortals, wow, in control of this round already. I say already, but this round has actually been pretty slow. GDN's going to get the first kill for his team, and there goes Cybera, but it's not going to mean too terribly much, as the smokes and gases are countering each other, equaling everything out, and Ion's going to have to use his last smoke to make this push, but it's not in the way of Maestro. He sees Maestro's backpack, which also has a heat signature, and will take down M-King. Now with full control over blue, it's looking a little bit better for BD, but Blacks is going to actually put another one in his team's favor onto Navi. So here we go, Black Dragons. Lots of control. PX, though, able to take down one, and just in the corner of Church will not be able to find another. Blacks, what great entry work with GDN. Black Dragons salvage the round. And Gasson, this match is a great example of when tactics and strategy fail, and you devolve to your baser instinct and skill. That was nothing to do with good play from BD and everything to do with Immortals not able to win a single fight.
Me caveman, me frag.
Well, okay, let's not go that far. It's not a bad thing. It's important to remember.
It put the round on the board.
Yes, it's important to remember, as I was trying to say, it's not a bad thing that you are going to retreat to just fragging out, using your skill to earn the round. What it does mean is that each of these rounds play out in the form of a mess.
Yes.
And it is hard to manage for anybody on either team. It's hard to really monitor for us, and it is very messy. And there's nothing wrong with going backwards and just winning on what you know you can, which is those gunfights. There really isn't. It's just weird to watch.
And why is that mostly? Because you see both teams on their attack always having a setup around a certain. You see, they destroy certain hatches. They have all the utility prepared. They're going to try to chuck them and time them together. And then suddenly something happens there. You know, some sprocket gets stuck for just a millisecond, and it turns on the fight or flight kind of mindset. It's like, okay, I got to kill. And it just turns to both teams slugging it out, as you mentioned, one by one.
It's weird because it's not just the tactics that are falling flat, it's the utility as well, whether it's smoke canisters or smoke grenades or, you know, just anything C4, the Evil Eyes, the Montaigne, the Hard Destruction, all of it seems to be almost redundant.
Yeah.
As
basically, anything on the G and middle mouse button are not really working too.
It's coming down to gunfights, and we've seen a lot of the utility be used. Some of it is very useful. The Hard Destruction, okay, maybe that was spoke too soon on that one. The Hard Destruction has been very useful for both teams, of course. It's Clubhouse after all, but I don't know. It's just a weird match. So Black Dragons, on match point, they have guaranteed themselves, at the very least, a draw. And that's a really big win, all things considered, I think, for BD going into this one.
Yeah, and at least, not only that, this is an even bigger hit to Immortals, because now this is going to start to hamper them for the rest of the season. As again, this is the time where you're trying to look for those top 3-4 positions within the Pro League standings for Latin America. And guess what? Black Dragons are right below you. You know, they win this game, Black Dragons go up to 10 points. Immortals are at 11. They're not too far away from kicking you down a notch.
I mean, I'm honestly, at this point, expecting Black Dragons to take it, given how Immortals has been playing. I mean, honestly, they just haven't been winning their gunfights, and that's why they're losing this out. Navi's had a good job on these main stairs last round, so I guess it's good to see him here again, because every time, if Immortals can manage to fish a kill from anywhere, that's good. But he's going to, looks like, fall back a little bit earlier this time around.
Using the Zofia to burn out ADSs in the back that are set to protect the Maestro. Ion soon will walk on into blue and maybe try to test the Maestro. It's always funny to see when the Glaz is looking down and he spots that backpack that is glowing yellow, because there's some sort of heating system on the backpack of a Maestro, I guess. I don't know. You see the evil eye that has been set up here to counter any quick smoke plants, which in this case, Black Dragons at least have a couple smoke canisters, smoke grenades for them to use, but just keeping up the drone game. Black Dragons trying to put up as much information as possible before they go through this push as we hit the 30-second mark. GDN to get one as PX turns around, evades the shots coming in from Moto. You can hear that 5.56 in the back. Bullet will find one on Panico, and Cyber with the second on Ion. Now the shotgun's going to get even stronger. They're going to try to take down the barbed wire, and they will be successful, but the instant they peek, GDN finds one, but not much left. That diffuser is on the floor, and Black Dragons can try their best as Hugzord is the last man alive, but this round will not be salvaged, and the defenders, Immortals, will take the round, and they'll be a round away from a tie. Their second one potentially in a row.
Here we go, Immortals managing to take it. And they get that basement hold. They're going to have to go somewhere else, though, for their final defensive round, and it's going to be cash. So, we have yet to see Jim in the second half. We saw it in the first half from BD when they were on their 4-round streak, but not going to be the case here for Immortals. They're just going to stick to cash and basement. Now, I mean, that last round, Black Dragons were trying to take control of blue. They failed in that endeavor. Once they failed in taking control of blue, it seemed like everything just kind of fell apart. And that's the end of that story. Good job to Immortals managing to win their fights this time over by blue by utility. That's the main takeaway from me. And we're going to move on.
Yeah. Had they taken control of utility, just like they did in the previous round, well, suddenly you're pinching Church pretty heavily, and, well, you know, the Mute or anybody playing inside is not going to survive for too long, because guess what? When you have a Zofia, you have a Glaz, which is going to be very, very useful in clearing out Church and allowing you to go for that plant right by the cooler there. So, all in all, a good round played by Immortals. Black Dragons unable to salvage it, but still potential for BD here.
So, we have the shield inside of Garage once more from Immortals. Black Dragons, again, have brought the Montaigne. I am now going to put my hands together and pray that the Zofia will destroy the shield with her lifeline. What?
It was his birthday a month ago. The baby Jesus. Pray for him.
Yeah.
They're going to need it.
I want to go fast. He wasn't always a baby.
That's very true.
So,
Will change.
Black Dragons attacking from the Garage once more. I'm going to use Panico's EMP to get rid of what looks to be a Mute Jammer, as Navi's is not going to be playing Bandit anymore. He will now be just playing the passive Mute. Oh, what a C4 from Navi's. Oh, and a prediction as well. As soon as he heard the EMP, the C4 went out, and the Thermite is gone. That very easily could secure Immortals the draw, along with the kill onto iBlacks. It's looking all over for Black Dragons. What a double punch play from Immortals.
That's definitely the definition of a 1-2 punch. You know, one from construction, and then the second one is to clear it out the Zofia. You have no more heart breach. Your EMPs are basically useless at this point in the grand scheme of things. And what is the Monty going to do? well, not much. It's going to be a shield in front of everyone, a wall. And you can't really do anything with that. And Notice won't not even have him at this point. And Ion trying to find the angle on, I believe, Cyber there upstairs in the catwalk, but nothing will be found. Panico turns around. Unfortunately, my friend, there's no thermite here, Mike.
Well, no, to be fair, there could be Legion traps on the other side or ADSs or something.
Fair enough. Okay, you win this one.
I mean, it's just, you know, what else is he going to use the EMP on, right?
I might as well check it somewhere. Hugzord taking even more damage from the smoke as Ion's watching through the smoke and still has one canister to use. I'm not sure if Hugzord has anything left as M-King takes down Panico. All hope to take this round suddenly falls by the wayside. Immortals looking to tie it up again. Their second tie in a row. They had against INTZ and potentially today against Black Dragons. Monty forced to take down the Gumans that were preset, and he's just going to stand there.
Yeah, it looks like Black Dragons are aiming to take the full 50 seconds to see if there are any opportunities to win this round, but as the last actual rifle on attack is dead, Hugzord left in a 1 versus 5. He's now just going to play with his opponents, go for a kill, and
lose.
It's over. Immortals will take the draw, the win away from Black Dragons. We go 6-6. And it all comes down to the little rays of sunshine that Immortals illuminated us with in that match. I mean,
that was honestly the rounds Immortals won, especially on their defense.
Well, I would say especially on their attack. There was one round on the attack which was a little bit questionable, the way that they tried to fake out Black Dragons in the second round. The fake out in the first round was hopefully successful, though, and that was really worth noting. Really well done to Black Dragons for winning those 4 in a row. Better for Immortals when they were on attack.